All right, welcome to this week's edition of Car Wash Confessions with the Wash Boys. I'm Jonathan Kim with Superstar Car Wash alongside George Odden from Ardent Advisory Group. George, happy Thursday.
Jonathan, thank you.
It's so nice to see you. You look very dapper today.
This is 2 in a row that I've been in studio.
I know, I might get spoiled.
I did get a haircut today,
You did. It looks good.
although it is itching my neck something fierce.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Those little hairs. I hate
Yeah,
that.
I know. That's no good. That's not your confession, though, this week.
No, it's not. No,
Okay.
that's just my discomfort.
Yeah, I told you this. Didn't I tell you the story of how I
Your
trimmed?
confession is you take pleasure in my discomfort.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I can understand. I usually trim my beard before I, get in the shower, but I forgot to do it a couple weeks ago, and so I trimmed it
You
afterwards.
have a lot of stories about what
I
happens
do.
before
I
and
know.
after
It's
the
crazy.
shower.
That's where all my crazy stuff happens. But I had hair down, down my shirt the whole day, and it was itching, so I can relate.
All right.
Yeah, that's not my confession, though. So first of all, I want to just say thank you to our sponsor, Welcomemat Services. Thanks, Welcomemat. George, what's your confession this week?
So this week starts the serious push for Christmas for me.
It's only October the 4th.
Well, to be honest, I'm about 4 months behind.
Okay.
My confession is that I am a Christmas maniac.
Really?
Really.
I did not know that.
Like, I start shopping in June. An incredible amount of stress, and
Really?
it really sucks a lot of the joy out of it for my entire family.
I'm sorry. You have the outlet center, don't you, right by you in Park City? You could have just been going right to that and doing all your shopping all summer.
So what happened is every year I swear that we're gonna cut back. This is gonna be a small year. And this year is a little bit different because this is the first time my kids have actually said, "Dad, stop.
Really?
We don't need any more stuff." So I actually sent out, I was so stressed about being behind the 8 ball because I haven't started stocking stuffer shopping yet. I got to the point where, we don't have stockings anymore because there's nothing big enough. It just is a nondescript pile of presents, most of which, aren't, at the end of the day, are fun, but,
Yeah.
eh.
All right.
So I sent an email to my daughter, my son, my wife, threatening them that if they didn't give me general ideas of what they wanted for Christmas this year, that there would be retribution.
Mm-hmm.
And
Retribution.
Retribution.
That's a serious term.
Unnamed
Okay.
retribution. So I got a note back from my daughter that says something to the effect of, "Dad, I'm not sure this is in keeping with the spirit of Christmas." And she was right.
Yeah. So are you like the Grinch?
No, I'm the
okay.
opposite.
All right.
I'm
okay.
somewhere between, that I look at the Grinch and Clark Griswold
Yeah.
as being kind of, the circle, the
Yeah.
two ends of the circle that meet. I'm somewhere in the middle there.
Okay.
But definitely not the Grinch.
All right.
Definitely not. More Clark Griswold than Grinch.
So I think what we should do is after Christmas do a survey with your kids and say, rate this year's Christmas for us.
So my kids actually said that they wanted to, they gave me a number target for
really?
the number of stocking stuffers and under tree gifts.
Okay.
5 stocking, 4 tree.
All right.
And that is, it's going to be very difficult for
Wow.
me, John.
All right. Well, we're going to hold you to that.
All right.
All right.
That's a long one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, my confession today is, I'm a multitasker. I like to do multiple things at once. It's probably because, I get distracted very easily. But sometimes that can really kind of bite you in the ass. And
I did think it was odd that you're clipping your toenails while we were doing the show.
that is
last
true.
week.
It's a good thing we kind of have this right here so that no one can see that
I
and keep my
understand.
hand under. But so today we were on. This happened today. We're on a conference call, and I'm sharing my screen with the group that's on the conference call, and I got done kind of talking, and then Scott, our COO, starts talking, and he's doing his thing. All right, I'm listening to him. I decide that I'm going to go check my personal email, which I never ever do really at work, but I needed to respond to an email from my daughter's school, and so I pull up my personal email, not realizing that I was still sharing my screen. So gotta always remember.
Oh, come on. What was it? Please make it embarrassing.
No, it wasn't too bad. Scott saved me. He was great. He took over control and started sharing a different spreadsheet. But it was just a reminder to me, like, you just gotta always be aware of my surroundings and be present in the moment and try not to do too much stuff. So that's my confession this week. Well,
That's advice, too.
that is
It's like a
advice.
double.
I'll take that one. Then I don't have to say anything at the end of the podcast. But, well, we are thrilled today to have an in-studio guest, only our second in-studio guest in all the time we've done this,
that's
correct?
Not true. We've had 4 or 5.
Oh, have we? Oh, no, we've had.
Insurance.
Oh, that's right. We had insurance. Okay.
Financial.
All
Anyway.
right, my mistake.
Yeah, whatever.
There's another
Doesn't matter.
embarrassing thing. Well, in studio today we have with us Kevin McCabe. Kevin is the Vice President of Corporate Relations for Honor Health, and we've asked Kevin to join us today to talk about how businesses, car washes, or any type of business can get involved with organizations that make a difference in the community. So welcome, Kevin. But, unless you're an Arizona native, if you are an Arizona native, you might recognize Kevin because Kevin spent years as a local sports broadcaster, and would love for you just to tell a little bit about yourself and kind of how you transitioned to this second career that you're doing today.
You only have an hour, so
Not even. We have 30 minutes.
they'll bring in a vacuum to get the toenail trimmings. No, thank you guys for having me, and thanks for the flattering introduction. I was blessed. I was lucky to get into broadcasting and television in a glorious time when people actually watched television, and there were 3 stations, NBC, ABC, and CBS, and this Fox thing was coming along, and I got into it, and I loved it. It was great. I came out of school at NAU and had a wonderful career in broadcasting during the height of the Suns NBA Finals with Charles Barkley and Luis Gonzalez World Series. So Super Bowls. I mean, I had a great run. Great Lute Olson and Steve Kerr. But I tell young people, I say, if you've seen the movie Anchorman and you laugh at it, that's kind of what I was. It was kind of a big deal. You had leather-bound books, people know me. And obviously it's changed now. They hire pretty young people to do that job, and I'm none of those. So I repositioned myself.
Were you?
My wife, it's funny you say that. Been married 33 years, and she'll find pictures and she'll go, you were good looking. So yes, good question, George. But reinvented myself and was able to take all the things I did in television and that being in people's living rooms or in their homes all those years. I mean, 35 years.
Yeah.
There was a trust. And Honor Health Foundation, which is a nonprofit 501c3 that supports our 6 Honor Health hospitals based all here in the Valley. They hired me to lead their corporate relations team to build relationships with all the vendors and businesses that are here in the Valley and build support to strengthen the hospital.
Was there a gap between broadcasting and that, or did you go straight from one to the other?
Great question. Well, unfortunately, they decided, in television, 1-year contracts, which was really challenging all those years. It's like being a head coach, and they just decided and let me go in 2008. I worked in radio. I did some radio work and then got into business development with Artie Moreno's company, Outfront Media, handle all the billboards in town for sports teams, and then also learned how to do business development, build relationships with Albertsons and Superstar Car Wash and handle their billboard accounts. And then about 3 years ago, Honor Health came to me and said, we want to create this corporate relations position. The hospital system is a nonprofit. The hospital is a nonprofit, and people are blown away by that. They, hey, come on, I've seen my bill, and doesn't the insurance pay for that? And I said, listen, it's a machine, but we keep our lights on. We're open 24/7. If you get in an accident at 2 a.m, we're open and we're ready to go. It's clean. We've got. I always joke. We've got toilet paper. We've got the lights on, and it's clean. And we've got surgeons and nurses who are ready to go. So. I built those. I came over and reinvented myself. It was challenging, though, George, because I knew nothing about nonprofit and knew nothing about healthcare. But I was lucky enough to learn in broadcasting, and I probably shouldn't say this, to simplify the message and shorten it, even though I haven't done that here today. But take big information and put it into a short package and share that with people.
Well, you just got to imagine your relationships must be gold.
It's been great because I was lucky enough to work my entire career here in Arizona. I worked in Flagstaff coming out of school on a little TV station, worked in Tucson for 6 years at KOLD TV down there, and it was a glorious time with Lute Olson, Steve Kerr. They'd gone to the Final Four. and then came here to Phoenix. Same thing. So I was comfortable with people, and these are the business owners who would come home and wait for the 10 o'clock news. And so there is that familiarity when I went into this position. When I call the CEO, well, it's even more excessive than that. It's the CEO of, say, Footprint, which is the new, plant-based, fiber-based company that's it's global game changing. Well, their CEO, I covered. He was a wide receiver at Westwood High School. He went to ASU, and now his son is a star tight end or lineman at Chandler High School. Same thing with McKesson. Now I work closely with McKesson, and we spend about $40 million with McKesson annually. And their regional director, I covered him in high school. He was a running back in Tucson, and his son is the #1 quarterback here in Arizona going to Oregon. So they want to talk. They want to hear Charles Barkley stories in Las Vegas. They want to hear they want to hear Luis Gonzalez. They want Randy Johnson stories. And then, oh, by the way, this is what I do at the hospital, raising money to help really transform healthcare. Because I do say this, guys, and I love it. It's an amazing time, as it is in your business. An amazing time with the transformation with AI and technology. That there's cures for these diseases and simplifying any kind of surgical procedures, robotics that just blow me away. So I love what I'm doing. I'm really excited about it. I've got a room full of autograph memorabilia stuff, and you weren't allowed to get autographs because you had a privilege. But stuff that I've later since gone back and said, hey, will you sign this? Luis Gonzalez, game-winning hit, sign this for me. And, those are the kind of things just so that I can remember those. I remember when I used to be this guy, But I have the greatest life. I really do. Walter Mitty.
Yeah. Well, even in the case of where, you and I never worked together. I played high school sports, but never covered. But I lived in the Valley for, 20 years and watched Fox and grew up watching you. And I remember when we connected, it was at a high school football game.
Yes.
And I walked up to you and I said, hi, I just want to introduce myself. I've always been a big fan. Oh, and by the way, I work at Superstar Car Wash and would love to talk to you about, what you're doing now. So, it is that familiarity that I think, is a great attribute that you have here.
That's
in the
nice of you to
Valley.
say, though, because there's some people that you watch on TV that you don't want to meet. So I work, you're in the grocery store and you go the other way. But the neat thing about
Come on, name names. Who do you not want to meet?
You can probably name those. You know who those are. They're in the tabloids. One of the great things when I did leave television, I did get into radio, and actually, I'll tell you, Jeremy Hathcock, who is a football head coach in the White Mountains, and I covered him in high school. He won state championships, came down, coached here, and went back home. And he said, you've been covering Arizona high schools for 43 years. 1981 I started. And that's always been my passion, and it really still is. And so, I know where these high schools have grown up and the kids who've come through them. So I still, Honor Health allows me to do a radio show on Saturday mornings on Arizona Sports 98.7, 2 hours celebrating Arizona high school stories. And you'll remember when you grew up, there was this thing called the newspaper that you would open up and see.
I miss the newspaper.
How Agua Fria High School, where is that? Or who is Steve Malovic at Alhambra? And who's this, Brad Lowhouse or Sean Elliott in Tucson? And I now try to do that in radio. And what I also do is help celebrate what I'm doing at Honor Health at the same time. One of the things I'm working on right now is that weaving the two together. One of the local high schools has a Dig for a Cure volleyball event where they raise money for Honor Health Foundation, our Virginia G. Piper Cancer Center. And they raise money, raise a few $100s, and we celebrate it. I said, why don't we get all the high schools to do it? Why let's challenge them. So I'm able to take what I do on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, and weave it into my shows and my storylines on Saturday morning. But that's my drug. That maybe you go play golf or go ski or what you do. I love going to high school sporting events. I still think they're the most pure sport. They're getting a little messy, but they're still the most pure sport. NIL hasn't weaved it, and transfers are, but it's still sexy to me.
Yeah. Our audience is comprised of a variety of different folks within the car wash industry and without, and we have a lot of listeners that maybe single car wash owners, own one or two throughout the country, and they say, "Oh, Honor Health, you're a big," and if you know the Valley, big hospital system, et cetera. I could never afford to be part of that. Like, I guess I have a two-part question. One is, why should companies invest back into the community. And two, if I am, I own one business, but I'd like to do something and partner with an organization like Honor Health, dispel the myth maybe that, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that.
Yeah, great questions, and great, because I didn't know this either. I got into this business and I said the same thing you're saying is, what does a hospital need money for? The government's paying for this and everybody's got insurance. Well, everybody doesn't have insurance, and what insurance you have doesn't cover. So there's obviously patients' assistance. There's our employees that need money. And every dollar does matter. And somebody put it in perspective for me one time. I was talking with a big major company, billions of dollars, and same thing. And I said, if we've got a woman who's going through cancer treatment, Virginia G. Piper Cancer Center, and she's in there for 4 hours having her treatment and throwing up and weak and cannot drive home. Say you make a $100 donation. That pays for an Uber ride home for her car and herself, 2 cars, and we stop and get dinner for 6 so she can go home and feed her kids. That's what that will do, $100. Do we want the big corporations to donate? There's some feel-good aspect to that. There's tax benefits, obviously, and people with more finance sense can learn that. But the other thing, too, is they use our hospitals. We're based here in the Valley. We're the 7th largest employer in Arizona. So we've got 17,000 employees. They live here in the community. They're part of the community. They go to your businesses. So one of the 3 things that I do, I work with our vendors, and there's big money in healthcare. I'm not you guy, Big Pharma runs the world. So we try to build those relationships and their support with big dollars. I looked with the local businesses, the big major ones, obviously, the Microsofts, the Insights, and that, the Footprints. But then also businesses like yours. How do we build yours? And that's what we work with cause marketing campaigns, where we want to give you access to our 17,000 employees. They need their car wash, those 17,000 people. Where are they going to go? Well, here's somebody who believes in what we do. They support us. And it can be a weekend car wash affair, Paul's Car Wash. It could be something as simple as that, where they can give $5, they can give $10, but that adds up. The donation is there. You enjoy great success with your business as a result of this. That's the motivation behind it. Also, you're sharing your brand on our stage of health and wellness here in the Valley. The other thing I love about it is I'm home cooking. I've been here 62 years in Arizona. I know I don't look it. That's the time for the close-up. I was born in Brooklyn, that's a whole other
I didn't know that. So was I.
I don't talk. Yeah, we know we
That's
don't
right. We've
talk
had
like
that
this. Or
no.
say dog, or orange, or car, or a creamer. But this is my home, and I built my broadcasting career locally here. I do know where these high schools are, where Catalina Foothills is, and Flagstaff, the Flagstaff Eagles, Coconino Panthers. But we're based here. We're governed here. My CEO sits down the hall for the foundation, and the CEO for the hospital, who's Todd Laporte, is he's a baseball junkie. A nut. Has a fantasy baseball league with minor leaguers. They sit in my office, so decisions are made there, and every dollar that you give stays here. I don't have to call Memphis to get an approval. I don't have to get the money and send it to Nashville and have them disperse it there. Every dollar you give, 100% of it stays here in Arizona, so it supports. Maybe somebody who's going cancer.